Good evening, everybody. I hope that you are doing well. Today, my topic is a very important one. I want to talk about emotions that make us feel uncomfortable. I don't want to say negative emotions because I don't believe that there are negative emotions as such. There are Each emotion has its own importance. There is a specific reason why the Almighty has created all of these different nuances, because you can't just feel happy all the time, or you can't just feel angry or sad all the time. There has to be variety in life. If not, life would be very boring and we would never learn anything, we would never change. I This is something that is very relevant to me personally, because I admit that there are instances where I do feel very low. Now, don't get me wrong, generally speaking, I tend to be perceived as a very dynamic, confident, smart, attractive, intelligent, whatnot kind of person. I do consider myself to be a happy go lucky person. I am very happy with little things. I am always, not always, but I love to just laugh and be silly and smile. And I genuinely enjoy my life. I genuinely think that life is a gift, and that there are so many good things around us. There are more good things than bad things. The mere fact that you are able to stand on your own feet, you're able to enjoy the activities that you love doing, you have friends, you have people who love you, you have a job, you have food, you have all these privileges. These are enough to make you feel happy, isn't it? For me, it is definitely the case, and most of the time, especially since a couple of years now, I've been working on myself and I'm improving. So I really enjoy my days. I'm a very happy person most of the time. Having said that, there are also days where I do struggle, where I do feel like, I just experience these emotions that make me feel very terrified, that make me feel uncomfortable. And I have noticed that the more you repress these feelings, the more they become strong and dominant. It is perfectly normal. There is nothing more normal in the world to feel occasionally depressed or down or sad. Life is hard. Life is hard. That's a reality. There are times when you might be feeling lonely. There are times when you might be feeling incompetent or unimportant, or you feel like you haven't achieved anything. Maybe you feel like you're not good enough. Maybe you feel like you are never going to be loved for the way you are, and that you will, all sorts of scenarios start to play themselves in your mind. And the mind loves to, we have a negative bias from the evolutionary perspective. Our minds, our psychology, our brain are conceived to have that negative bias. In other words, we have a tendency to give more attention, more energy, more importance to negative scenarios, to our fears, to our negative feelings, etc. And when you start to, one negative thought leads to another, and then it keeps on going on and on, and you eventually you fall into that trap of thinking that there is no use trying anything new. So why bother? Just wallow up in that feeling. But to be very honest, from my personal experience, I definitely believe that the universe or God has given you these emotions for a very specific reason. You will have noticed that the world's biggest writers, philosophers, artists, thinkers, geniuses, these people have been able to extract the maximum of excellent ideas, inspiration. They have created their biggest masterpieces precisely because they struggled so much in life. They went through perhaps bigger hardships that the average person would experience. I know that I am a very intense person. I've always have had that depth, that tendency to be very analytical, to overthink, to analyze, to constantly be in introspection. I'm always, it is within me. It is who I am as a person, and I want to stop like fighting against that. Let's say that a negative emotion comes, or I'm feeling something that makes me feel uncomfortable. I want to be able to stop denying it and try to accept it. accept it as something normal. There have been many, many, many instances in my own life where I all of a sudden something that just comes to my mind, or I'm going through a heartbreak, or I'm going through a situation that is a bit complicated and painful. And then all of a sudden I switch from feeling happy, feeling okay, feeling balanced to really being in that dark space where you just start to put everything into question. You start to question yourself. You find it difficult to love yourself. And I have noticed that just by accepting that it's perfectly normal to feel that way, that it is part of the human experience, you feel instantly better. You feel okay with not being okay. Unfortunately, we do live in a society, we do live in a culture with social media where there is a lot of toxic positivity. I never knew that there was a term for this, like toxic positivity, that unconsciously you start to feel like you have to constantly put on a brave front. You have to always be smiling, always be looking happy, always be feeling like you don't have the right to vent, that you don't have the right to say that okay, I'm not feeling well. And I have been perhaps doing that myself for a very long time, that toxic positivity. I am someone who is, I love the concept of being positive, of being grateful. But being grateful doesn't mean that you are not entitled to feeling low, that you don't have the right to struggle at times, to feel depressed, to feel down. And some people will try to convince you that, just by you expressing some pain or suffering, you are being ungrateful, which is invalidating. This is just invalidating your emotions, your trauma. And if you are on a path of healing, if you are concerned with healing, you have to know that no one can invalidate your trauma. No one can tell you. That's not the right way to comfort a person. When someone tells you that they are not feeling okay, sometimes they just want you to listen, and above all, they want you to validate their suffering. To accept that yes, they have a reason for feeling down. Let's just take an example. Someone's relative or someone's parent, someone has died in their entourage, and they are very disturbed by that. So you can't tell the person that you should just go out, things will be fine, or that it's not that serious, or that they should be grateful. That's not the way it works. People have the right in life. Some circumstances make us feel like we really need to experience that feeling of sadness or grief or whatever it is. Even sometimes anger and jealousy, you have to go through it, and then you extract the lesson out of it. Of course, you don't let it destroy you. You don't let it allow you to hurt others. But at the same time, there is nothing more normal as a human being to experience this wide palette of emotions. It makes me feel very, very irritated and just baffled when I see how on social media, or generally speaking, people out in life, they have a problem whenever you point out that something is bothering you, or that you're not feeling okay. They will immediately jump in to give you advice on what to do, or they will tell you that you don't have the right to feel that way, which is again toxic positivity. So my point is, like, for those who have read that poem by Rumi, The Guest, is it right? The Guest, I think it's called The Guest, yeah. So basically, in that poem, Rumi tells you that no matter what emotion comes knocking at your door, it is like a guest that comes to knock at your door. So the word guest here is very, very important. I love that poem. I have a copy somewhere, but I think I need to get another one. So basically, he is telling you that treat each emotion as a guest. A guest comes for a while. He might stay for a few days, for a few hours, for a few months, but then he or she will leave at some point. So each emotion, you have to welcome all of them, whether it is depression, happiness, love, sadness, jealousy, anger, whatever it is. Just allow it to come and then let it go. You don't have to repress it or try to push it away. You're going to hurt yourself more if you try to do that. What's the point of, why do you think that it is wrong to experience sad emotions or negative emotions. It is perfectly normal, and you have to stop invalidating your own trauma and your own pain. If you are the kind of person who, like me, you feel like you have to constantly look like you're doing okay, you have to constantly have a smile or force yourself to smile, or just you're afraid of seeing the truth that sometimes you struggle. So I hope that we are all going to keep on healing, and that obviously the journey is a very beautiful one, but it is also a journey that is, it takes time. It takes time, it takes work, it takes a lot of effort, it takes many things, but it is definitely worth it. Yeah, healing is something that is very important, and you take the amount of time that you need, but make sure that you are treating yourself right.